Before we start the show, we just want to let you know that we're part of the Bard Rock Network, sponsored by Dragon Master Games. Dragon Master Games is a local game store with an online storefront where you can get TTRPG products and collectibles, including trading cards. Just go to their website in the show notes and write in the comments that Bard Rock Network sent you. You can also support the network by subscribing to our Patreon or Ko-fi to access network-wide bonus content, get shout-outs on network shows, receive network swag, and even get invited to our several annual community game nights. Anyway, on with the show.
Welcome to College of Whispers, the actual play book club. I'm Marty, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Vicky.
Hello!
And today we have not one, not two, but three special guests from our topic this month, Agents of Damned. We have Xtina, Drew, and Hoshi. Say hello, everybody.
Hi. Wow.
Motherfucker, you were introduced before
right.
I was.
I was waiting on Hoshi. I was trying to be polite. I was like, you guys go. I did a lot of talking. I was going to let you guys talk before.
We were told to introduce ourselves.
Hello?
Pay attention.
Or at least say
introduce
hello.
yourself.
Well, I'll introduce you guys. You guys are the stars of today. Agents of Damned is our topic this month. This is an actual play Dungeons & Dragons 5e production. Hosted by Jordan Hoshi Roman as the DM, with players Katie as Saith Everjoy, Xtina as Winterra Dark Knight, and Drew McLean as the good Dr. Arlo Aegon.
Howdy.
Drew also holds the distinction of being the DM for Campaign 2, which is currently ongoing. Agents of Damned's original premiere date is March 27th of 2020. Their Campaign 1 has 71 episodes and several one-shots, and Campaign 2 is ongoing. The average runtime of Agents of Damned for the first 30 episodes is 1 hour and 14 minutes, and they are currently ranked number 3 on GoodPod's Top 100 Indie TTRPG podcasts.
We are.
It's so fun to hear our own statistics.
You guys are...
I know.
Yeah,
So actually...
you're doing more work on this than I am.
So actually,
oh, for real?
I went back...
More work than I ever did.
I went back through...
Cool.
I went back through all the shows that we've covered so far and took the average time of every episode to get statistics for average runtimes, because that's a big topic that we're covering on this show over time. So actually, I'll share them with you now.
Go for it.
For episodes 1 through, what is this one, 6? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dimension 20 Fantasy High clocks in at an average time of 1 hour and 42 minutes.
Is that right?
Moon Harbor Heroes, 1 hour and 17 minutes. The Dungeon Run, 3 hours and 28 minutes.
God damn, Dungeon
Makes
Run.
sense.
Wayfaring Strangers was an hour and 7 minutes. Unprepared Casters, Arc 1 was an hour and 18 minutes. And, as I said, Agents of Damned, the first 30 episodes, because I got tired of doing math, 1 hour and 14 minutes.
Spoken like a true D&D aficionado.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very impressed with the statistics, but also in the back of my mind, I was like, I absolutely know in my heart of hearts, if you had just said a number, I have no way of challenging it. Yeah, you guys are averaging 2.5 hours. I was like, shit, are we?
Yep.
Your episodes on average are
Episode
20 hours.
20 hours. Just keep going.
Your episodes are an average of 35 seconds. You just get all hey, welcome to...
Welcome.
This is also where we learn Drew doesn't know what 35 seconds is.
You're 35
That's
seconds.
on time blindness. We brought you guys here to ask you some questions, and so we'll actually start with that, so I stop boring you with the statistics. First of all, we'd like to know how and why your show came about. What was the inspiration to start a podcast?
I feel like I technically said this before.
You did say this before recording, but I do want to hear it again.
It's not a really wild story, but I'll give a little bit more to it. Basically, I had been playing with Drew and Xtina. They're the ones that got me into D&D. and I had this idea for a campaign that I wanted to do. It was not very fleshed out at the time. And I also had another friend, Katie, who I had like been wanting to reconnect with for a while. She was my close friend throughout high school, and I kind of like lost a bit of touch more than I would have liked to. And so I brought the two groups together, like, hey, why don't we just like play a little bit? And the first recorded episode, and I'm pretty sure we've mentioned this in one of our after shows, we like literally played through, I think what ended up being the first 2 or so episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I think it was Katie was like, shit guys, are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So she's like, shit guys, we're actually really funny. We should make a podcast. To which I said, nah.
Oh dear.
And then I thought about it for like a week, and I was like, hey guys, you know what we should do?
I've had an idea.
And thus we redid the first session through several episodes, and the rest is kind of history.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had to redo that episode again, because eventually we learned about this cool thing called audio quality, that apparently if it's really bad, anyone listening would hate it. And
Well, counterpoint to that, we didn't really redo them so much as we re-recorded them, because we just took the transcript and just
True.
basically did a line reading of that, which did lead to, I think, one other additional funny moment where Christina like ad-libbed one thing and we all just lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
True.
I think that was the first moment when I was like going through, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the show.
Oh, so you came upon us after we had learned about audio editing and quality.
In truth, that's
Yes.
probably for the best.
If I remember correctly, it was shenanigans. The line when Tara repeats
Yeah.
after Arlo, and everyone was like, "That's not in the script. What are you doing?"
God,
She
she's
just
going.
caught us all very off guard.
My God, she's going off book.
Oh no.
Yeah, we kind of just came about as like a bunch of friends playing D&D. We're like, hey, we're pretty funny. Let's like record this, and we've just kind of like kept it going. We've gone through several iterations. Well, not like iterations, I guess, but like we're like we're currently on campaign 2, and even during like campaign 1, to not spoil anything, there's like a shift towards like the end where like we call that like the I don't know, the age of despair, like
That's
I
right.
don't want to like give too much details,
Mm.
but it, I'd say it's pretty interesting. I don't know, like, how much should we talk about the show in context of like people listening? Like we do always be like, so here's the plot synopsis of everything that goes down, or should we just be like, hey, the show's cool, listen to it, vague.
I mean, if you want to
info,
do a
stingers.
spoilers light, we kind of
Yeah.
we want to talk about the show obviously, and we don't want to give away like the important stuff.
Fair.
Right?
So we shouldn't do the in-depth discussion on the finale.
No.
No, especially
Marty
'cause
hasn't
I'm not
gotten there
done
yet,
with the finale.
so
Yeah,
definitely
we
not.
would
Okay, I'll
actually
just-
spoil
I'll scrap those
Marty.
notes.
Yeah.
If you could lead us up to the finale and just like leave it there and just like have
Yeah.
everybody listen to it, that would be
I've
great.
been listening. I've been
Yes.
listening
Can
all
you
year,
believe
and
that
I'm on.
Arlo turned out to be Ash's son this whole
That's
time?
crazy.
Absolutely wild.
No.
Wow.
No.
Honestly,
I mean, honestly, you know what? Good for Kamodra. She really...
it's the pairing you never saw coming.
Yeah, especially since Arlo has a canonical father already.
Yeah,
You know,
Vincent.
Ash.
Oh, sorry.
Absolutely.
My God, you really were just like the product of a thruple. Or I guess in this case, a quintuple.
Oh man.
Where would the quin come from?
Uh oh.
Wait, no, you're right. I did add one too many. Quintuple?
I was like, what the fuck's happening right
How many's in this now?
P shows up, and I was there too.
Hey Marty, I know you said that you don't edit these very much. You're gonna have to. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's okay. I was
go
like,
off
Alternative
the rails.
theory, he doesn't, and he keeps all this gold in.
that's true.
Please.
Hey, I can do like what you guys do with putting outtakes at the end.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Uh.
Please. You're gonna need to.
Like we are.
Can we
not
please talk
talking-
about the outtakes, because that was sort of like a creation of necessity.
Absolutely.
Because like for anyone who's ever made actual play show, you learn very quickly that sometimes you guys are just vibing, and especially with like our show, because one of the things that we like about it is that it's just us. We don't always stick to, especially when it comes to our goofs, the continuity or the story or what's presently happening, or even the fact that we're playing a game.
I'm not I'm not looking at any one of you in particular.
No.
Definitely
I
not
can't
staring
tell.
daggers at Drew. Could not.
If you can believe it, it's
right
not
now
any-
for everyone that's listening. Because I'm just a little
If you can believe it, it's only slightly better in campaign 2.
Yeah.
But we very quickly realized that we either have to like cut these bits that are still funny, even out of context, still pretty good, and we didn't want to lose them, but also they kind of like messed up the flow of the episode, because it is still like a story. It's still narrative, even though it is primarily comedy. We are still trying to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget when we started doing it, but I know that once that happened, that just became like a running thing with, no, we need to keep doing this. Because it incentivizes people to actually listen to like the ad reads at the end, because there's something else there.
Yeah.
But then also, we don't lose some of our favorite gems that just didn't mesh with the episode.
I think it started around the time I took over initial editing responsibilities for the first pass, which would have been the first time we went to Time Anther, which is interesting because when we first started doing our recordings, everything was right at the height of the start of the pandemic back in 2020. So we were doing everything virtual. And so it was
the only ones who did it at that time.
Well, right, like every other podcaster out there did with starting something where they're like, I'm bored at home, what do I do? Oh, let's do podcasting. Like it was a height of the podcasting boom, I feel like. And so podcasts that have survived since then are a lot rarer than you'd think. It's really interesting seeing just the graveyard of podcasts that are out there. But it's one thing for us too, where going off of the clips where we have these outros, it was actually easier back when we were doing our all virtual recordings to take those things and piecemeal things together to make it make sense. Whereas now we've shifted back to in-person recording at a table, and because there is feedback and just general sounds that get picked up on everyone's mic, it's not as easy to actually piecemeal things together. So I find myself leaving more moments in that I may have been able to cut out and fit together in a way that made more sense to keep the story flowing. So you might notice a shift towards the end of campaign 1 and now through campaign 2, where we are like, oh, we're a lot more goofy at the table, and it's a lot more of that at the table vibe. But that's something we've always I really can't talk today, guys. We've always been prideful about and keeping, is that you're at the table with us feeling throughout our games.
I think that's also just kind of like an artifact of the fact that, like, for campaign 2, I am DMing, and I am, I think if I had a business title within our podcast, it would be Head Goober. It would be like Head of Goober, or like CEO of Goober and Goober Relations, just like head of like professional idiot. And then I'm usually the one that's taking us off track or on tangents. I'm still not allowed to talk about Airbud.
Please don't.
I'm not. There's an entire after show.
That's only because
that I
you
ran
go on
for
a
while.
20-minute spiel.
It's
Love
okay.
it.
So I'm not gonna do
No,
it.
stop.
I'm not doing it.
Oh,
It's already an after show. It's an
I'm
entire
gonna-
after show. There's an entire
Because-
after show dedicated to Airbud.
Because the Air Buddies aren't like doing the puns anymore, and they don't respect your intelligence. Okay, so we're going back to what we're talking about.
I actually have a means of saving us with this.
Please.
Christina, can we please talk about your blooper naming conventions? Because they weren't something that fans ever got, but for me, during campaign 1, as the person who did the final edits, they were a joy to behold every time. I've actually pulled some up just so I can share some. Just random episode.
okay.
So we have Believin' in the Power of Dice Christ.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Definitely not keeping this. There were a shocking number of ones where she just blatantly said, no, this is not going in the episode.
And then it was.
Sometimes. Grapes.
Great.
I genuinely hated this. Not for emotionally stable individuals.
Wow. Okay.
She says putting down the switch.
What?
Stop with your balls. The movie Equus. True, but not in the way you thought. We all know this reference. And who is she?
Isn't this nice,
That
Vicky?
was all
We don't
from
have to.
one episode.
We don't have to say anything today. We can just
carry on.
go,
Yeah, this is
right?
great.
Yeah, if you want, I can pull up more episode blooper titles. They're all about this level of gold.
Welcome to College Whispers episode 6. This is 6 hours of Hoshi reading all their blooper titles.
This is just it.
I have one
Please
actually from
subscribe.
an episode that's not out for patrons yet. It will be on Friday if we want to listen to those. Accidentally a Powerpuff. Here's how we got that song. My idea. Our laughter but cutting it. Snakes are stealth. Snake unhinges its jaw. Sorry, headphone users. Tara got left behind. Or Tara got left behind. That's my problem.
I'm about to say Tara's not
Yeah, I
in
know.
this.
Tara got left behind. That's my problem. That's my problem -001.
So you can put more in later.
Okay, good. Nothing has changed. Excellent.
Excellent. But I think the main thing I was gonna say was like I think it's more indicative of the fact that like I am DMing this time, that like things are a little bit sillier, and that like I am a silly Billy dude. We're all silly Billies, but I am the silliest and billiest, and I was like, even if we had the same recording setup, I think there would still be more Tom fuckery overall.
Probably.
I will say you are a little bit more reserved, not a lot. And I wanted to say, in context of, for anyone who's listened, Campaign 1, Drew, slightly more reserved as a DM.
Well, I have to make
I
sure.
definitely agree.
Like, I have to be responsible now. Now I'm the
Yeah,
dad.
because I don't anymore.
In charge.
True.
Yeah, I
overrating.
believe you said before we started, Drew, that you have to be the brakes now, and you don't know how to be the brakes.
Yeah, because I'm usually the thing that needs brakes.
He's a Formula 1 race car that now needs to know how to go speed limit.
Truly.
They're not built for it, though. That's the problem.
I'm really not, but I've been figuring it out. The show's coming out pretty good,
He's
I
been
think.
doing a good job.
Yeah.
These are great. On the topic of outtakes, you guys have actually inspired me to start like keeping our like outtakes for Wayfaring Strangers, and I have like 30 minutes already worth of outtakes in our first like 8 or 9 episodes and I think that's due like to in-person recording, because it's so much easier to just get lost in the sauce
Yes.
when you're
Definitely.
looking at somebody and doing a bit with them.
Oh, yeah.
It's
'Cause,
a
like,
great
we also
halfway in between, like you having to, like you, when you start like podcasting, you can either like get like way too in your head about like things, or you can just be like, everything I say is gold and must be heard. And it's a great way to find that mid ground of like, okay, this is a complete non sequitur. It adds nothing to the story. It is hilarious. It's gonna go in the end. Where it's gonna like just tack on at the end with a little like static noise. The laughing fit we got into when I accidentally said like Balls Canyon or whatever the fuck I said, or whatever the fuck anyone said that time.
I think some of my favorite ones are actually the ones where Drew bricks and then tries to sell us on the fact that he didn't brick. Where, like, he'll say a joke, no one will laugh, and they'll be like,
Just say it again.
do you guys get it? Do you not,
You'll
do
get
you
my
not
joke?
understand the joke?
You'll get
Oh,
the-
that's the problem. You guys just didn't hear me.
Yes.
I'll just say it again.
I'll just louder this
And then
time.
it's just us reassuring him, no, we heard you.
No, it's
Those
okay.
happen a lot, and they're always very funny to put in bloopers.
That's just my dad humor. The misconception is that the joke is for you. The joke is for me.
And that's okay too. There's you know, if you can't make yourself laugh, then who else are you gonna make laugh?
Really and truly.
Right. Vicky, would you
very
like to
good at
ask the
making
next
himself laugh.
question?
Oh,
we're,
there.
we're not just
Yeah.
asking a question.
we have a couple here.
Yeah, to be fair, we have covered quite a lot of
Demand
questions.
One question.
One question only.
One
Okay.
question, Vicky.
I'll make it last.
Choose
So
wisely.
this is probably, it could be for like the DMs as well, but it's sort of what inspired you to make your character. Where does your character come from? Or yeah,
And we can I guess since we've been talking both campaigns, we can
yeah, we
talk
can do
about,
both campaigns. Why not?
Yeah, fair enough. I want the others to go because they're gonna have a really like good and smart and creative answer, and everyone's gonna be disappointed by mine.
You're really assuming a lot of the creation of Post.
I mean, fair enough. You know what? Fine, I'll go first. So, I have a lot of different ways of like coming up with characters. Like sometimes I was thinking of like something kind of like cool or like a neat little like gimmick, and I'll jot it down in a little notebook, and I'll like form something else out of it later. A lot of me like DMing has just been like taking those little like half-formed concepts that aren't good enough to make a full character, and they're like, man, this guy's gonna exist for 15 minutes. Dan Zan the Tram Man, here we go. And stuff like that. But Arlo was a pun that I worked backwards from.
Okay.
Arlo was Dr. Arlo Aegon, Dr. Aegon Dragon. And I was like, he.
I gotta go.
And then I worked everything else backwards.
I can't be here anymore.
I made up like an actual backstory and stuff like that, but I was like, but the end result that like, or not even the end result, the starting point was like, I wanted a character named Dr. Aegon, and I'm never gonna like make a big deal about it. I just want it to be like there in the ether, and then anytime I have to talk about him, I get to say, hey, Dr. Aegon Dragon, and all of his relatives are the same thing, like Snapdra Aegon.
Because listen, I went through that whole arc, going, okay, Komodo Dragon, Snapdragon. What the heck is Arlo? I never considered the honorific.
I think I realised it at the same time. I was like, oh, right, like Dr. Acula.
What's an Arlo?
What? Dr. Acula? I've never heard of such a thing. What slander?
So I was today years old.
Today years old, indeed, yes. This minute old.
And that's the payoff. That's where he came from, was me wanting literally this exact moment.
That is amazing.
Thank you for giving me this closure, truly.
And in the same vein, we have my character for Campaign 2, Post El Delvery. I'm far less subtle about it.
It's true.
Because his backstory is literally built off of it in that he serves this, or not really serves, but like is the heir to a mercenary guild called the Mailmen. There you go.
I forgot I was a mercenary guild. I need to like go back and actively listen to Campaign 2. I thought you were
I can just read you off the acronym real quick.
I thought you were literally just a mailman. I was like, okay.
No.
He also just has a
yes,
big
but no. You are simultaneously correct and also incorrect.
Fair enough.
Imagine if your mailman could also whoop ass. Well, we don't know that. We don't know your mailman can't whoop ass.
I have proven that I can whoop ass, thank you, sir. Enough episodes are public. I will fight you on that. But it is the mercenaries assisting in long-range messages and enveloped neighborliness.
I think we're going to take a minute and talk about the acronyms because there's so many.
There's a lot.
And they're all so good.
Should we let Christina talk about either of her
Yes.
first?
I have
you know
several.
what? Yeah, but I do want to take a tangent about the acronyms in a minute.
We could take a tangent about the acronyms, but let's answer this first question.
So for Campaign 1, Winterra is the character I wanted to do a druid to start with, and so I was like, well, okay, what would make sense? I wanted her to be born in winter, so I was like, okay, well, Winterra, of like winter of the earth. And then I was like, okay, but what if she was also born at night? Okay, she's a dark knight, so the name was just stupid. But then I was just like, okay, but now she's gonna be this mixture of if Smokey the Bear met with a Lorax and they had a baby, and that was basically where I got her personality from, because I was just like, yeah, my name is Winterra, I speak for the trees, you touch my forest and I'll eat your knees. And so her whole thing was just like, oh, she's this aggressive, her family was known for stealing and eating knees of people that burned down the forest, and that was kind of like their whole thing. And she started off in my mind as this character that was like, yeah, I'll take no shit, be scary, whatever. And then Winterra competing with Saith and Arlo, who are both way more intimidating than she is, turned out to be the bean of the group and ended up just turning into this naive little thing. And I was like, yeah, she's going to be tall and scary, and she's going to be literally a bear person. Everyone's like, no, she's like 4 or something. We can pick her up and carry her like a little peanut.
She's in the Baby Bjorn.
In the Baby Bjorn. So, you could come in.
You gave her small energy.
She apparently had small energy. But, with that small energy, there comes small dinosaurs, and I got to make up for all of the transgressions against me and my character, so it's okay. And then in Campaign 2, I came in with the idea of, I want to actually play a morally gray character this time, guys. Please just let me. So that was the creation of Leah. And she is an assassin, and I was like, well, I can't leave all of my druid roots behind, even if Drew has begged me to not play a spellcaster to start with for Campaign 2.
She's not allowed.
I'm not allowed to play a spellcaster for Campaign 2, at least to start with. we'll see what happens.
We will not. You will cast 0 spells. I don't trust you with them.
Since I can't be trusted with magic or magical items or anything, because if you let me use them, I will find a way to shenanigans myself into some situations. But I was like, okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've been behaving myself immaculately with spellcasting.
Yes.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And so she is of the Gardeners Assassin Guild, otherwise known as the World Kindergartners. So, you know, her whole thing is, her shtick is she has a shovel. That's her murder weapon, is a shovel and other various, like, digging utensils that you would find in a garden. So I was like, yeah, I've got to make sure that I keep up my whole, like, druid-esque favoritism thing. And that is how both of those guys came about. And there's other characters I can talk about if we want, but those are the 2 main ones.
Amazing.
I'll say in, like, an episode that we recorded, like, semi-recently that has not, like, aired yet, you guys do live up to, like, our promise of, like, we're going to be a little bit more morally gray this time through. I'm not going to give any details, but I was like, this was, like, the moment when I was like, are you guys going to do it? And they jumped on it, and I was like, oh, shit.
All right, here we go.
Ooh.
I will, to that extent, also point out, not all of us.
Drama.
Drama.
There
Jordan,
is
explain
definitely some
yourself about your
inter-party
acronyms.
drama.
The number
I love that we're
the number of times that we have gone like to screaming in character at each other to, but we promise we're friends in real life, guys, out of character has been
That has become a staple on the after show. Which,
Yeah.
look, I know we sound angry. It's in character, I swear.
We are acting.
and that's good.
Acting.
From the beginning of the show until where I am in campaign 1, which is like 2/3 of the way through episode 66, I think. So like the final battle, and having pretty much been caught up on campaign 2, the level of roleplay you guys have like exhibited, and I think it's just because I've listened to the show in such a short span of time, but you guys have been running for like 3 years. The level is just boom.
Yeah.
And you guys are some of my favorite role players. I'll say it. You guys are my friends, and you guys are really good. I'm gonna be mushy. You guys are great.
You still have to pay for the Patreon.
Can I just get one month? Yeah.
Not
Also,
without money.
I guess full disclosure, I am a patron. I am a patron of this show because I liked them so much after listening to them.
We love
so.
all our patrons
We do.
equally.
Including my brother-in-law, who we recently harassed into doing it.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, in case you guys are wondering who the most recent one was, that's who.
You just
Oh, neat.
found your
How
brother-in-law
else are
and you're
you
like, give us
supposed to-
money. We want
You're
money.
supposed to get patrons.
He only started listening because Chelsea is now actively in campaign 2. I don't think he's even listened to any of campaign 1.
Makes sense.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, siblings.
Hey, the money still pays.
I will also say the nice thing about campaign 2 that you guys have said to me is that it follows the events of campaign 1. It's set in the same sort of universe, but you don't need to have like intimate knowledge of campaign 1 to get into campaign 2. So it's a good jumping on point if you don't want to take the time to listen to 70 plus episodes of campaign 1 and you just want to get to know what's going on now. Campaign 2 is a good jumping on point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know about Arlo or his mammoth hog.
But
You will be missing out if you don't.
Canonical.
you will be missing out. I strongly recommend going and listening to campaign 1.
Yes.
But you can listen to campaign 2 and stay caught up on that while you are listening to campaign 1.
You gotta do something in between the episodes.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a balance in campaign 2 of like, if you've listened to campaign 1, some things will make a bit more sense in context and it will feel more rewarding. Like when certain characters show up, it'll be like, oh shit, the dude! But like you don't need to know who the dude is for like stuff to make sense. It'll never be like integral to have listened to like campaign 1. It'll just be additionally rewarding. It's like watching Marvel movies. If you read comics, like you don't have to have read the comics to like get the Marvel movie, but like if you have read them, you're like, oh shit, was that Thanos just now? Like you got that payoff of like the everyone else is like, huh, purple smiling guy, he seems dangerous. You're like, that's fucking Thanos. It's about to go down, son.
Is that Space Barney?
Space Barney.
Space Barney.
Shut up.
Do we want to do a fun question?
Go for
We got
it.
some fun questions. If you could invite a special guest or group of guests, who would they be?
Oh, damn.
In like onto the show for like
Onto
a one
your
shot.
Literally
show
anyone?
for a one shot or
Anyone
for
from
anything.
time and space.
Ooh, we're opening it up. Oh,
We're opening it up.
Okay, because I know these two are going to come in with some funny ones. I have a sappy one that I'm going to go with. Honestly, I really would want to have my grandmother on the show if we could, like, turn back time and space, because this is the kind of thing that she would have freaking loved. She was all about board gaming when we were kids, and she was just like, you guys have too much energy. We've got to figure out a way to get rid of it on, like, rainy days. And so I think she really would have liked playing D&D, and she would have probably had some really interesting characters that she would have come up with.
That's so sweet.
I love that.
And I'll leave it to the other two to,
Who
like,
wants to
fix my
follow?
sad.
Why don't you fucking...
Who wants to follow
Oh,
that
you should have gone last. I can't follow that. That one was, like, really good and heartfelt. I was just, like, my answer, I was like, fucking, I want Brownlee Mulligan, because I want to meet Brownlee Mulligan. He seems like he's really cool. Like, there are a lot of, like, D&D, like, players and DMs that I would absolutely, like, lose my whole shit if I met. Brownlee Mulligan is, like, top of that list, but, like, a lot like Jasmine Viola, or Abria Iyengar, or a fucking there's a laundry list of people I got to meet the McElroys, and I was like jumping up and down about
just
it.
him.
Yeah, just
I mean,
Drew.
also Hoshi got to meet the McElroys, and nothing
I feel like
happened.
there
Yeah,
is
just
a-
the two of
Two
us.
of them.
Okay, everyone here got to meet the McElroys.
No,
Jesus.
sorry, just me. I feel left out.
I have not gotten to meet the McElroys either, to be fair.
They're very nice,
put it on the
and
list.
like without like getting into too much detail, because I don't like to beat a dead horse or be mean to my friend. I brought up like a long-standing like D&D disagreement, and everyone agreed with me, and I felt very validated.
I have heard this story. I think you told me this story, actually.
I still have the dice that they all signed. Drew was right on them, and they are my prized possession.
Speaking of friends,
I stand by my ruling.
speaking of friends, my less sad version of an answer is just getting at a table, and not even for recording purposes of a game, but I really do want to eventually try to play a game with all of our online friend group, just all together at a table, because I feel like the energy that would bring for a massive game would be insane. It would have to be a multi-day kind of thing, because there's no way we would all stay on track long
Not a
enough to get
chance.
through a scene.
If Space Rock Cafe is anything to go on,
Right.
nothing will get done.
No.
Oh, man.
What about you, Hosh? Who would you want to play D&D with?
I'm trying to go, because Christina did the sappy route, you did the like current route. I'm trying to think of like because they opening up to the grand cosmic scale
Right.
of like historical, not even like limited to real characters. Like I'm trying to think,
I feel
who
bad
do I
to
like,
jump in, but I think I might have to change my answer, because you did make me consider something.
you have to consider the cosmic scale of things.
Rocky.
Oh,
Could you imagine playing
That
D&D with a
would-
Rocky?
That would be solid.
For those of you who don't know, Drew is referencing Hirohiko Araki, the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh my
Just,
gosh.
he's gone on record in that like the way he writes the dialogue is that's how he talks in real life. I want just like 2 solid hours of that in a D&D campaign.
Okay, no, I have my answer. Unfortunately, I didn't go to as cosmic as I was hoping I would have. Like, I was really hoping I could have pulled out, like, some fictional character or, like, someone who's been dead for centuries. But no, I thought of the best answer I could possibly think of, and it's someone who does play D&D, and I think it would be amazing, Terry Crews.
Oh,
Yes! Oh, that would be beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Specifically, Terry Crews, as he is on, like, Old Spice energy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Terry Crews
that is an
playing Old
unhinged Terry
Spice
Crews.
Terry Crews.
Yes.
Like a homebrew barbarian, like Path of Power.
Path of the Old Spice.
Path of the Old Spice.
Feel bad for whoever has to edit that.
Not
10
me.
feet away from the microphone at all times, Terry.
Power.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely worth it. Who would you guys pick?
I guess I've gone on record. I think we've asked this question to other shows.
have,
I've
yeah.
gone on record. Emily Axford.
Oh,
It's not even
dude,
close.
I'd lose my mind to play with Emily Axford.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like honestly,
fair.
anyone in the NAD Pod crew, but Emily, like I feel like Emily Axford, I would love to meet, but I don't think any table should have both of us on it. 'Cause
I would. There is a thought that I had because it was something that she said. I forget if it was like one of their short rests. It was on one of their D&D court things. But she said that she has gone on record saying that she would like to go on a show and just play a commoner.
Yes.
And there is a part of me that desperately wants to say, "Hey, I'll take you up on that offer. You want to come on our show
Come
and play a
on.
commoner?"
she fucking would. I love Emily Axford so much.
Show up for like 30 minutes, die instantly in the first round of
Yeah,
combat.
we get Emily Axford, but she can't do any of the stuff that she normally does. We just get her gremlin energy.
Incredible.
I maintain that Emily Axford in like she's pulled off stuff that I could never have even fathomed. I think she'd be able to like manage to kill at least like a couple of henchmen as a commoner just via like raw ingenuity.
It's true.
She'd find a way to kill the BBEG.
Truly.
As a commoner.
As a commoner,
Yeah.
right? And so we
100%.
set up this big old rock, and the rock is gonna fall onto him now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, she wouldn't think that small. She'd figure out a way to become a lich or some
Right.
shit.
I have no magic abilities, but I have this weird jar and a couple friends.
Figures out a way to use like the alchemy jug and like a rock and fire to just make like some kind of railgun.
Well, isn't that like a weird D&D thought experiment where you can, like, if you just line up like a million peasants or whatever and just have them hand
Oh,
off
shit,
stuff
yeah.
as
The
an
railgun.
object
Railgun.
interaction,
Yeah.
you can just make a
I mean,
railgun.
yes, but that's also nonsense.
I mean, yes, of course.
That's pretending that physics doesn't exist for a hot second.
Well, it's
I mean,
D&D.
It's D&D. It does it.
Physics sometimes doesn't exist for several seconds.
Can let the physics not exist a little bit
That's-
as a treat.
Hey, Drew, if we said we wanted to do something like that in campaign 2, would you allow
Oh,
it?
absolutely not.
Okay, there, shut
It's
up.
different when it's not me.
It's only fun
Remember
if
when
I
I
get to
said
do
that there's
it.
a slight difference in Drew as a player and as a DM? This is what I mean.
Yeah.
I saw the switch flip like in your brain when you said that.
I'm still like laughing and chuckling, but like, I'm also like having to like hard veto shit because I was like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not figuring out what that
Absolutely not.
means in this universe. No.
Under no circumstances.
They keep trying to make, who is it? Like, who do you keep trying to make exist? Like Jen Barry or Ben and Jerry, like some kind of person?
Yes.
I forgot about that.
You guys also made TGI Fridays canon, so
We
like,
did.
But that was Drew, the
It
player.
turnabout's fair play. Drew.
Me? I did TGI
Turnabout.
Fridays?
Yes.
You sure did.
Ah, neat.
Well, okay, hold on. I'll actually go ahead and take the fall for this one. Technically, Drew introduced the concept of it, and I made it canon.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did a bit. That,
'Cause he
that
said-
feels more accurate.
Yeah,
I was like,
he
I feel like I
said
did
one
a
of his-
bit, and then someone like allowed it, and I was like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. Cool.
Yeah, no, you did one of your early intro bits of by the Bahamut's terrific TGI Fridays or something like that. And then I decided, you know what, screw it. On Mount Celestia, there's a TGI Fridays, and that is spawned into how you got to do something cool, because we're going to keep it spoiler light. I
Spoiler
almost
light.
realized I was about to say something big.
Yeah,
That scene
big moment at the TJF Friday.
That scene made me very sad. You guys are masters of making me just like almost cry while I'm driving to school, and it's a whole thing.
You're talking about like when you cried really hard the first time they went to Faye Donald's, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it was so beautiful.
such a beautiful thing.
It was
The way the ice cream machine just dripped out.
Was it working?
Okay, I can't.
Impotently.
Well, I mean,
I'm
if
sorry,
you
I
haven't
can't keep
gotten
up the
ice cream
bit.
out of the
I can't.
machine for like a week, it really just like shoots out of there.
And we know the toys are our favorite, guys.
Yeah.
So, all shapes and sizes.
Fun for the whole family, really. Not limited to kids' meals. In fact, there are no kids' meals. Kids aren't
They're
allowed.
fappy
Kids are not
Meals.
supposed to be here.
My ribs hurt. Ow.
There is a very clear 18 and up sign on the
Right?
door.
18
man.
or
I
your
can't decide
species
which color
equivalent.
this room.
There's like a whole chart. It's like 1800 years for elves, 50 years for dwarves.
We actually, like,
I love
again, without getting too much into detail, in Campaign 2, one of their adventures addresses exactly that, like, the idea of, like, hey, you know how, like, there's a bunch of different, like, sentient races all living, like, together in harmony, and, like, you have to have things like, you know, like, bars and stuff like that that are, like, age-restricted, and how the fuck do you do that? And the answer is magic IDs, and before that, the answer was, like, a fucking Excel spreadsheet.
Chart.
I think that actually came up with Chelsea's character, where like she, by human standards, is technically underaged, and Via's like, okay, but for your species, and she's like, yeah, no, probably.
Yeah.
I guess. Do we want to do another one?
Go for it.
This has gone this has gone on. We're 40 minutes in. This is going to be the longest episode on record. I think. And-
But you're gonna have to cut a lot of it too.
We are.
well,
We're giving you a
Are
much
we?
larger sampling for your average.
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it. It's been so nice. I've barely had to say anything. You guys just go.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you want, I technically still haven't answered the question on the acronyms.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's true.
We
I
gotta circle
do
back to
wanna-
that.
I do want to know. Let's circle back.
Yeah.
Can you tell we have ADHD?
Neurospicy souffle.
Neurospicy.
Ooh, I like that neuro spicy souffle.
Why is it spicy? Yeah, let's talk about the acronyms. How did they come about? Why so many? How long does it take you to come up with these? The words.
Okay, in order, neuro spicy souffle. Just kind of at random, and it depends on how bad I want the acronym.
Fair enough.
Like, damned, I kind of knew I wanted to be that for a while. And, like, what usually happens, and this is also true of mailmen, there's always most of it is usually pretty easy. But then there's, like, one or two letters that will fight me tooth and nail. Mm-hmm. And I have to, like, and to prove how devoted I am to this, I, like, actually, like, go online onto, like, thesaurus.com and just, like, will spend upwards of, like, a half hour combing through different variations of words until I find one with the letter I like, or one that is close enough.
I've spent so much more time on thesaurus.com this campaign, like, for naming stuff, and for my dumb
Now,
puns.
imagine doing that for acronyms.
I will say, acronyms are hard. I have a character in a campaign that Xtina's DMing that is an acronym, and some would argue I still don't have the full acronym done, because whenever it comes up, I just say acronym redacted.
See, that's the smart and efficient way to do it. What I do is the cumbersome and monotonous way, where I fight to make it happen.
I'll figure it out eventually.
Eventually.
We still got time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, kind of like pseudo backtracking to like character concepts. When I made Post, Mailmen wasn't a thing, like, conceptually, because I had come up with Post is one of those characters I kind of had like singing in like the background as like, you know how like as a D&D player and especially as a DM when you don't get to use as many characters, you just come up with like tens of hundreds of thousands of character concepts and you just kind of like leave them to just sort of like fester in the background. Post was one of those. Originally he was like in his mid-40s or something, but then when Drew brought up the concept and said we needed to be people that could be hired by like a contracting firm, I realized 40-year-old man who is the head of like some form of organization doesn't work for that. But at the same time, Post also felt like the one character I had out of this garden of possibilities that could work for it. And because this had obviously come up post campaign 1, I was like, well, I have to give him an acronym.
Of course.
And that is the only reason Mailmen exists, so I had to like really figure that one out. It went through several iterations before I finally got to the one I wanted.
It has made for some interesting, like, world building. Like, I like that, the thing that's a benefit of, like, the second campaign is just, like, stuff that we couldn't have known starting out the first time through, like, the whole, like, we did a lot of collaboration on, like, character creation and, like, world creation, and then, like, I had, like, the general concept of what was going on. But a lot of things that have been threaded in both like that you guys know about and don't know about, are driven by like threads from your stories that you've put into the world. Like the idea that there is like this gardeners / assassins guild just like out and about operating has been threaded into the world and how it works, and the fact that there's like a band of mercenaries that are like meant to deliver the mail at any cost. Like that's a part of the world
that
now.
Only 99% of the population knows about.
Yep.
Yep.
And the fact that like even though Chelsea is not like currently here, but like Tara's like idea of like Drake Wranglers and like Drake Riders is like that's a part of the world. Like one of the first people you guys meet that you're able to like sit with is a Drake boarding instructor, a member of her family, and that's like that wasn't a thing that was on that island before Chelsea existed or before we riffed that into existence. It exists now as we made it in committee. We made up Drake boarding, and that's like a thing now, and I think that's neat.
That still could have been Jen Berries, I believe, was one of the times we tried to shoehorn that in.
There will never be a Jen
I
Berry.
just remembered that, because I remember that was like a fun thing that you came up with where like we basically like offered you suggestions and you picked one that you liked, and I'm pretty sure Christina and I just tried to fuck with you on that one.
I remember that. I remember that one.
I will make a Jen Berry, and then I'm going to make a rock fall on his head. He's going to die immediately.
Right in front
It's
of
okay.
you.
We'll have gotten what we wanted.
He'll walk up and go like,
We'll
"Hi
have
guys, I'm
forced
Jen
you to
Berry. I'm
create
here to
them."
lead you through your darkest hour. Whoops!" And he's going to slip and break his neck.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it.
100%.
Hey folks, we just want to take a break from the action to let you know how you can support the show. As a part of Bard Rock Network, you can support us through a number of affiliate programs, where a portion of your order goes to support the network. Everyone loves dice, right? FanRoll Dice can make dice of all shapes and sizes, as well as accessories like trays, bags, and towers. Or maybe you want to take better campaign notes. Just check out Minva RPG and look at their assortment of campaign journals and tools. Finally, you can level up your game night with tea or coffee from Many Worlds Tavern. In addition to delicious tea and coffee, they have stickers, tokens for your favorite trading card games, and playmats. Qualifying orders even come with free dice. All of those affiliate links can be found in the show notes, and you just need to use the code BardRockCafe at checkout to save on your order.
Most folks don't realize it, but the world is ripe with monsters. And when you have a monster problem, you need someone who is smart.
I came over here, I saw that there was a crime scene. I figured, I'd park here on the
Crime scene. Brave.
It's just not our fight. We just honk the horn, everybody dissipates, and we just ride away.
And qualified.
If nobody is going to assist David with this, he is going to pull out his nunchucks.
Who gave him those nunchucks?
Van Helmen's family is none of those things, but they're the best we've got, so check them out on Monster Cafe. Available now wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
So I do have a question for both Marty and Vicky.
That's not how this works. Excuse me.
Quiet, it's our turn.
Now.
What's this?
It's our show.
We're going
now.
off script.
Hang on.
God, they're taking over.
Oh no.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
This is our show now.
When going through and listening, however far you've listened, what has either been your favorite moment or moment you want a clarifying question of?
Oh my gosh. Hang on, let me look at my notes.
I'm her husband, and I didn't know she was going to do this.
You don't know anything she's ever going to do. Playing D&D with you guys, I've learned this in depth.
Well, that's on purpose.
Even when you guys were on the same team.
That's also on purpose. We're trying to keep character knowledge.
Hello, this is Drew. He plays Arlo. I don't know if you've met Arlo.
Yeah, you don't know what the fuck's going on. So why should I?
My favorite moment so far is actually a very heavy spoiler.
Oh no.
So the next few minutes are just bleep.
Redacted.
Yeah. Well, it might not. It's not like. Well, it is like plot relevant, but it's not like. Oh my God! If you know this, it's gonna ruin the whole show for you. The confrontation between Kamodra and Arlo at the end of episode 54 is truly some of the best roleplay I've ever heard in an actual play. Like, you guys just went for it, and it sounded convincing, and I was like, damn, that's good.
I actually have a fun thing about that, which is I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, any of it, including what Kamodra, the NPC I control, did. Like, that was literally, Drew did a thing, my DM butthole puckered real hard, and as I started spiraling into a panic, I was like, what would she do? And I just said it.
Just did it.
That was all in the moment, and it felt right. It definitely changed the way I thought that arc was gonna go, but, you know,
absolutely.
It happened.
It got so heavy, and I was not ready for, like, serious Arlo at any point. Me neither. Because I, like, about 20 to 30 episodes in, had consigned myself to, like, all right, Arlo is the comic relief. He is he's here for bits, because Drew is also here for bits, and that's okay, and I love that. And then that happened, and I went, oh my God.
Pulled a little sneaky on you.
Oh.
The rug is gone. Where did the rug go?
Why is the rug gone?
It got pulled out from under me.
I held it right up to your face. Is this your rug? That was underneath me. Oh, no.
I'm on the floor now.
Uh-oh.
Just very Looney Tunes, like, wait, how did you get there?
When you realize it's gone.
The sound effect on that one killed me.
No. The only thing that sticks out to me is, through my notes, I've just got Arlo rap. Just, I think it's quite early on. I'm just like, when did I put that note? But I think it's like very early on in the series.
It's extremely early on. I think it's like episode 3 or 4.
Yes.
No, it's episode 3. It's episode 3.
There it is. There it is. The let me rap at you.
That one made me very happy because that was all because there's in the first version of that there is a song, and then Drew found a better one that we ended up using in the reshoot. And just the idea of having that as the background noise for Arlo doing this, the most wild thing you could do. That's one of my favorite early moments.
That's a good.
I was still kind of figuring out like who Arlo was. That's also like kind of part of this. Like Arlo is kind of like a broad outline, and like that's how I believe in like doing a character when you're doing a D&D campaign. And like there's a lot of different ways to do a character. I'm not saying this is the only way you should do a character, but like how I will usually do a character is that like I'll have a general idea of who they are, sort of, but that will kind of like flesh itself out as time goes on. Like that was a period of time where I was like really pulling for like all right, he's like, he's a cleric and he's like a doctor. Let's give him like youth pastor energy. Like let's give him like I'm not like other youth pastors. I'm sitting on this chair backwards. Let me rap at you.
I feel it.
Can I actually share something that I don't think I've ever shared with anyone yet?
Network exclusive. You heard it here first.
There was something I
Breaking
had
news.
planned for Arlo that because of Margie's favorite moment, realistically I couldn't do in a way that wouldn't have felt, like, even considering the way that we resolved a lot of that stuff, would have felt even too stupid. I was going to have Kamodra pass on a family heirloom to you, which was the Aegon family backwards chair.
Wow.
I was gonna let it like give you advantage on persuasion checks whenever you used it, but again, like given the just given the way
we
that
got
arc
so
went,
serious.
I unfortunately could not have done it.
That's also something interesting about the campaign 1 gang. No charisma.
No, none
between the three of you.
Well, Saith was supposed to have the charisma. And then
but she was
Saith was Saith, and so that never happened.
It's kind of eerily similar with how Post is, where he does have, pretty solid charisma, but no one trusts him because he's Post.
Should be the...
Yeah.
Which is very fun, because he does have good persuasion, just no one trusts him to do it.
Did that like ever become challenging at any point when you guys were trying to like interact with NPCs or anything? And it's like we just can't roll well for these, and like it just makes everything a lot harder. Was that like
not
a
when they
common
had
issue
Katie do
at
the
all?
talking because she rolled like God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie just like
true.
rolled ridiculously high, and that helped a lot of things go on. But like, not to like get too spoilery about it, like some abilities that I get like later on in the series like help me also like do like some charisma based things selectively. But a lot of it was like I gotta like give like props to Jordan, our buddy Hoshi over there, that like it was just setting like the DCs like reasonably for like making story.
I do also
happen.
have a rule. I don't know if I had this initially, but like at the very least somewhere along the line I developed this, which is I don't ever want a failure to stop the action. Because if that happens, then everyone's just sitting there like, well, now what? And so even if like you guys fail a check, I'll just have it be that like it doesn't go the way you want it to, but like you still get like some form of progress. Or honestly, even if I had like certain checks, I didn't have a DC in mind. I was just like kind of wanting to hear how everyone did and judge it based on that. So like if one person did really well, they're the one that succeeded. If one person bombed, they're the one that failed. So there's like, you know, spell effects that need a DC. Yes, obviously that I'd used it for, but like for ability checks, especially later on, I rarely had set DCs in mind.
So specifically one moment that is really coming to mind, and this is the case because it went differently, was in episode 1 and 2 when before we had actually gone and done the recording version of it. The interaction between Saith and Barden was completely different in the non-recorded version versus the recorded version because of the way that dice roll went. So it was we didn't just like, oh yeah, we think the dice went this way. We did the re-rolls for everything when we did the recording, and we actually had jumped into that moment. So that interaction between Saith and Barden reshaped how it had actually gone and sort of helped later shape what happens later on in campaign 1 between those two.
That was also because Katie did something vastly different than she did the first time.
Also
that
true.
too.
Big moves.
Very big moves.
She made a swing and a half, and I could not ignore that.
Okay.
Much like the time, slight spoilers, when her non-mechanical weakness of can't whisper, I got to take advantage of because she slipped up and didn't realize that she was in a stealth moment. That was a very fun moment for me where I got to be like, one moment, and just the immediate realization on her face, which obviously no listener could have known about, but for the three of us, it was pretty choice. I loved that moment, even though it didn't, you know, what happened.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out how it worked out, but it was
It
was a pretty wild moment. I think that, but like
that
I think
character, I
just,
swear,
like,
I could
an
not.
alternate universe in which like we just like met Barden and we're like regular fucking dudes to Barden, and then Barden was like, "Cool, thanks for being here to help. We are friends now, and nothing adverse happens from this interaction, and no one
Barden's
threatens
just
anyone
an
with death."
NPC and doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think like once that first arc wraps up and you guys head back to like the base, and it's just like getting like just destroyed by Ryan. I took a moment. I was like, oh wow, the consequences of action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
That was an interesting combination of like no one was right, because yes, the party probably should have like handled that with a bit more tact, because, you know, maybe gaslighting a guard into assuming diseases is kind of a wild thing, but also she did send you guys out there real fast without like
I wanted to bring that up in character. I was like, you verified precisely 0 of our credentials and gave us no training. You gave us a book. You gave us a manual, a book famous for not getting read, and then sent us out on a field mission. And you're talking to like a military doctor, and he's like, hey, bud. You did none of the things. You did none of the
It was
things.
just
We didn't do what you want. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't outline what you want clearly. That's how it works. I am made for following orders, and you gave them bad.
That was more my inexperience as a DM at the time, where it was like, if anyone listening to this is considering DMing, this will happen to you, and it's okay that it happens. Learn from this. It's fine. Don't assume that your players are going to just go along with what you want. Don't assume anything, because the more you assume, the more things are going to backfire on you. And it's okay 100%. To do that. It's okay. It happens. But don't do it.
Yeah, like sometimes your players like conspire and agree to split their party in the first serious combat you give them, and you just kind of have to deal with that.
It was an in-character choice that otherwise would have felt wrong.
I know.
On an episode that hasn't aired yet to anyone.
No one knows about it. No one knows the details. Just like realistically through that, I was like, wow, they really sat there like, this is a good idea that we have decided together as a group.
Whoa,
and I was like,
hold on.
Let me rapidly switch around these tabs.
To be clear, that was in character. No one out of character thought it was a good idea.
That's true.
True. I was just sitting there, I was like, shit.
That was the thing I knew was the definition of an unoptimized decision. Speaking of, should I talk about my new character? I'm kidding.
Massive
kidding.
I was like, hang on a minute.
That is an interesting.
Don't worry about him.
That is an interesting point, though, because we went through an entire campaign, right? We were high level, and now some of us as players and the previous DM are coming back in at low level characters. So it goes from high to low, where you're having to reestablish like, here's how these people would act. So yeah, you're making unoptimized choices again, versus your characters that knew what the fuck they were doing, and now they don't. So it's just
Post
like,
is also arrogant as fuck.
Well, yeah,
Very
like
true.
your characters are coming in and they have their flaws. They haven't worked through them yet. So it's just like reestablishing that baseline is a very interesting feeling to go through, especially when you're going like from recording this thing, it ending, and then a few months later starting up a new campaign. It's like there hasn't really been that long between them when you had these characters for years.
And that's always the thing, going from like, yeah, like you said, going from high to low level, that always kind of frustrates me a little bit, is like I come off a campaign, like a higher level campaign, going, wow, okay, I have all these cool things I can do, and I'm going to roll well all the time because my pluses are immaculate, and everything is because I'm a little min-maxer piece of shit. and then I start a new campaign, and I go, why do I suck? Why am I just bad at everything? Something you said, Hoshi, that I actually want to circle back on. Were you like a brand new DM going into this show? Was this your first time DMing?
It was my second time DMing, technically, because
Wow,
I
okay.
had done what was initially a one-shot, which, that was where I really learned the don't assume rule.
That's fair. Yeah, one-shots are notorious for that. I feel like.
I literally had to say out loud, please don't kill my plot hook.
Started with like a little Kenku that was like incredibly suspicious. We were just like, let's smush him. Just fucking smush him.
And I was like, no, not yet,
Please
not
don't.
yet. But that was on me. Lesson learned. But that kind of like turned into like a little mini campaign. That was okay. This was like my first full on like technically level 3 to level 20. I was gonna say level 1, but no, I don't start at level 1 because that's a mean thing to do.
Like the first time Jordan DM like that high level campaign we did, I forgot what I had named my character in that. I had an Eric Okra who was like, I wanted him to be like a duck because I wanted him to be kind of like a Darkwing Duck analog, and he called himself the Crimson Wing, but his real name was Squawk Balk Magawk.
Oh yeah. That is also where I had to learn how to deal with flying players.
Oh no.
Oh man.
You said you're gonna let us be like high level and do shenanigans, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna build the character that
And
I
you,
never
rather
build
than
out of respect.
And then rather than, acknowledging that this is your friend's first time ever DMing and he's relatively new to it, you were like, well, let's just bend him over backwards.
Absolutely not. Take your lumps.
Trial by
You
fire.
said go ham, and I said I'm gonna if you let me do it, I'm gonna do it to you.
That was also when I thought it was just going to be a one shot, and then everyone was like, "Oh man, I love these characters," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, okay.
If it
Now-
makes you
now
guys
I-
feel any better, I did die,
Me too.
but you got to become death. I just died in disgrace,
Yeah,
which was fitting.
that is
He
why I
was an
said.
ass.
That is why I said it was okay.
Like Squawk
I have-
died the way he deserved to die.
That is true. That doesn't mean I don't still have plenty of regrets from that.
That actually does. Well, you've actually kind of answered this question, but I guess we can extend it to all the DMs in the room. If you would like to offer any advice to aspiring DMs or even just like actual play hopefuls in general, what would it be?
Don't design mini games in your campaign. They will get broken no matter what. There is no way you can unless you remove magic from the table completely, and then it's just going to be a slog and no one will like it. Just don't do it.
No.
The Winter Wonder Shot got broken. An episode that existed in campaign 2 got broken. Episodes in campaign 1 got broken. Just don't do
Void
minigames.
Ball was undone.
Yeah, try not to. Don't do a sport.
forgot about
don't
the
do
void
a
ball.
sport in D&D.
Sports
Not just
can't
sports.
work with magic. It's impossible because no matter how many limitations you try and put on them, it's never enough. It's never enough.
Yeah, sports in D&D just no.
Especially if there's a druid.
I will say
Or a monk.
the one mini game that stuck out to me that you guys did really well was when you just lifted Among Us for
That
one
wasn't
of
even a
the
minigame. That was just
levels.
pure roleplay.
Yeah, that was good.
I think that would be like
yeah.
my advice is like, don't be afraid to draw inspiration from things, and don't be afraid to like do a thinly veiled like reskin or retread of something, but with like your own like little like twist on it. Because I think like there's this idea of like everything has to be absolutely 100% original from my brain. I am a creative genius. He was like, "Oh, calm down, bud." Like I will freely admit, like I'll joke around about what are you talking about? Why would you say something? But I'll pretty much like freely admit when I'm just like, hey, we're doing fucking, I don't know, we're doing Ocean's 11 but D&D. Like when I'll do like one shots and stuff like that. Like sometimes it's just fun to just be like, hey, we're kind of doing this but different. And that's part of the fun of just playing around with tropes and like an area where we're familiar and making it like not familiar and putting your own mark on it. Like it's almost like a form of like retreading or like or fan fiction where it's like this is your own still like your own creative work and you're still making decisions within this world, but don't feel like you're lesser or that you're not doing it right if you didn't like write your campaign setting from scratch. Or if it's like, no one can know that I watched Nausicaa and the Valley of the Winds and then thought, ooh, I want to do that. Be chill about it. Be like, yeah, we're doing a Miyazaki world. You guys want to do a Miyazaki world? We're doing Miyazaki
I think
world.
there's actually a perfect example of how true that is in campaign 1, where it was during, say, second arc. You guys had gone into like one of the layers and Drew, you specifically got really excited, assuming it was one thing. I forget what it was. It was like one of like those old like Nickelodeon like obstacle course game shows.
I thought you were doing Super Sloppy Double Dare.
Yeah, he thought that's what I was doing.
No.
And
Legend of the Hidden Temple. Legend of the Hidden Temple.
Legend of the Hidden Temple. That's it. Yes. You thought that's what I was doing, and I made a joke like, "Do you guys want to like pause for a moment while I go over my notes?" I genuinely wish, looking back now, that I had said that in earnest. Because, like, I had a thing, it could have been, like, fun. There's no universe where what I planned was better than Legends of the Hidden Temple. There's no world. And I wish I had done that so badly, but I didn't. And that is one of the black stains on campaign 1 that haunts me, was that I didn't do Legend of the Hidden Temple when it was handed to me by a friend.
A compatriot. A confidant.
Yeah, just
I love how you guys just keep accidentally answering other questions while you're at it. This is
I will also
Oh,
say,
this
like,
is-
one of the
you can
biggest
go.
points of advice that also kind of draws from that. DMs, talk to your players. You don't have to come up with everything yourself. It's fine. Like, check in with them, ask them if they have inspirations, use things they come up with. Do you have any idea how many things I came up with were pulled from, like, things that these guys said or conversations that I had with them? A lot. And we're trying to be way more active about that in campaign 2, and it is going much better for it. Like, just talk. They're your friends. It's okay.
I will piggyback
They'll get
off
it.
of that, and I'll say, like, if you're, like, surprise has a lot of power to it, and a lot of things, like, need to be a surprise, and a lot of things are great to be a surprise. But if you're choosing in between surprise and checking in with, like, your player about something now, like, you have, like, a significant effect on, like, their character or their backstory, or, like, something that might, like, be, like, less comfortable for them, like, it is okay to sacrifice surprise to be, like, a good, like, DM and friend and, like, check in and make sure, like, you're not going, like, you're not overstepping bounds with, like, how they viewed this character that they, like, painstakingly made, or if you're not going over bounds with something that, like, they're uncomfortable with. It is always best to, like, if you're stuck in between, like, oh man, I could ask them about this, but then that spoils the surprise. I can guarantee you the surprise is not going to be so good that it will, like, overshadow, like, the possibility of, like, watching your friend's face go from, like, ecstatic to, like, soured, and that, like, you stepped on something you didn't know you were stepping on. It is so much better.
Having safety tools at your table and checking in with your players consistently is always a good idea, rather than just expecting they're going to love everything, and it's not always going to go the way you think it will, and just be ready to roll with whatever does end up happening and take time with your players, because they're your friends first.
Oh yeah, and also in the similar vein, DMs, don't get too attached to what you have planned. Because one, it may not go the way you think it will. It may end up getting completely undone. And while that may seem frustrating, sometimes that is better than what you had planned. There are times where I had, like, in campaign 1, things planned for them to do. They circumvented it entirely, and they were so much happier. And I couldn't say, like, no to that. Like, just remember it's a game and everyone's there to have fun. Even if you're trying to make it a podcast, you're still supposed to be friends at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very last thing that I will say is, like, remember that part of being a DM is kind of like, I think I'm stealing this actually from Brennan Lee Mulligan, but it's kind of like playing, like, tag or hide and seek, where, like, you're not actually trying to, like, hurt or damage anyone, but you're playing the part of, like, ooh, I'm gonna get you. And then when, like, they don't get you, you have to play the part of, like, ah, no, you suck. Ah, how could you have done this to me? Like, there have been times where, like, people have, like, absolutely, like, kind of circumvented a thing that I set before them, or, like, got into something with much more ease than I thought they would have. And instead of going, like, ah, cool, you guys did it, the fun is in, I'm just like, ah, you dicks, you beat my puzzle. It was supposed to take you longer. Stop being good at puzzles. And it's like, ha ha ha, yes, we've defeated you. We're better. We're better than you. Like we're all playing it. We're all doing a goof. We're all doing a gaff. Let them have that.
DM should be trying to win but hoping to lose.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite NPC? Campaign 1 or Campaign 2?
Oh, that's too easy.
Ooh.
What do you mean, who?
I said
who?
ooh for me. I'm thinking, like, who is my favorite NPC?
Oh, yeah. For me, since these two need to think, apparently, I'll just go ahead and say, no questions asked, Big Beggy.
Damn,
Of course.
Big Betty
There's-
was great.
Of course,
There's
Big
no,
Betty.
like, there are other characters I enjoyed playing. Rick Slavenly was fun, but I never got the level of, like, just back and forth, insane interactions like I did with Beggy. Beggy was so much. I love playing Betty.
That there's a reveal about Betty that I don't want to spoil. In case anyone wants to keep
It's
listening.
really good.
It's very good. I'm very
That-
proud
I'll
of
keep
it.
going. I do like Betty as well, so I was going to say, but yeah, I will keep listening to see what happens.
Oh man, it's one of the few I had to, like, pull over. I was driving home.
That
I
part.
had to pull
Okay.
over.
The best part about Beggy,
It
though,
was
is
so-
that, like, there was never a moment where she was introduced that everyone was like, not this again. And there was some other, like, with Rick, that would happen, where it's like, I guess we gotta deal with Rick. They were never upset they had to interact with Betty. Never. And that was great.
I feel like the point of Rick was to be upsetting. The point of Betty was to be, like, delightful.
The point of Betty was to be chaos.
Delightful chaos.
Delightful, yes.
I want to give a different
fair.
answer, but I feel like the true blue answer is Big Betty. But I think a close second for me, like, as, like, DMing and now being the characters, I really like when I get to be Marlena. Because I think she's just, like, trying to be your moral compass, and all of you are just being like, absolutely not.
Well, she also comes from, like, a place where we hear some of the stuff that she does, and it's like, should you be our moral compass?
She's the best.
Like, our last conversation with her, I think, really testified. Like, it's a fun reaction where, like, we both get to, like, try and help each other be better, and it's very fun.
Some stuff you just don't know. She's a little bean.
I wish I could say the example I want to think of, but it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Oh.
I trust you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Gosh, just the Feywild courts. All of them have a different level of what the fuck that is just always a lot of fun to interact with. If I have to pick one, it's Sarastra, just because I got to explore Sarastra as an interaction the most. But all of them were a lot of fun, and there's a lot of neat little trinkets that we add in towards the end of Campaign 1 that really seal, oh god, the Fae. The Fae are here.
Sarastra was very fun in that it was just like the same level of chaos I do with all the Fae, but also she's cool with murder and unapologetic about it, because what's the big deal? I just killed 20 people.
Right.
I wanted to get to the front of the line.
Right.
I'm in a hurry.
Can I pick an NPC that's only primarily been in, like, side missions and one-shots?
Oh god.
You whore!
Because if I can...
Uh-oh.
Then I choose... Lord Bonington!
Of course.
Whore!
Yeah! My favorite dumb character I've ever come up with, my favorite dumb bit that I've ever done, and you know I'm gonna like slightly. It's not like a plot spoiler, but I'm gonna slightly break the no spoilers rule. My favorite dumb bit that I've ever done is like Lord Bonington posing as a different skeleton who has like a little like pencil thin mustache done with magic marker, and then erasing it and then drawing with the same magic marker a curly mustache, and then another NPC going, Lord Bonington.
It was a very funny joke, I will give you that. Dumb as the character is.
I love him.
I'll turn this question back on myself. My favorite NPC is Oliver.
Aww.
He's just a little guy, and he's a cute little guy.
Oh, you know who else is really great? Bookworm. Bookworm's really great.
Bookworm is a precious little bean.
I did not expect Bookworm to gain the traction that she did, or have like a relevant narrative.
It's very good. It is very good.
I have to thank Xtina for her hardcore bisexuality really stepping forward to help out with that.
Everyone being like, you did a flirt. Did I do a flirt?
And we're just like, yep.
What? I guess so.
Xtina not knowing what flirting is as my wife, and me just being like, she doesn't know. She doesn't fucking know.
Flirting with your friends is half the fun of playing tabletop games.
It's totally. Yeah, it's all the fun.
Vicky, do you have a favorite NPC so far?
I was going to say it's a toss up now because you reminded me of Bookworm, and I really adore Bookworm. But yeah, I think it would be either Bookworm or Betty. I don't know, but either.
The best bees.
The
best bees. No, I just love the part where you first. It's Bookworm that talks, so that she's mute, isn't she?
Yeah.
I remember. I didn't just listen to it this morning. It's the way that you kind of said, okay, this character is mute. How are you going to talk to her or conversation with her, and giving everybody a puzzle in character to solve. But it's not a puzzle. It's just sort of a how are you going to communicate with this NPC that you don't know how to communicate with.
And that was actually a pretty. I like that you brought that up. That was a pretty like neat moment because I think that's a big part of like the human experience. Like you meet someone and there is like a barrier to communication, and you have the like the ability to decide in that moment to go like, this is slightly harder than talking to someone else. I'm gonna not talk to this person. Or it can be like a cool dude and be like, all right, how are we gonna figure this out so we can interact with one another. And I think it was cool that like all three of us were just like, all right, let's dig through. And I was like, all right, I think I have a doctor. Maybe like I took like a sign language class. Can I roll to see how much I remember of sign language?
Yeah, so it was like Saith could fluently communicate. Arlo could kind of communicate, and Wintera needed a translator.
Wintera was just vibes.
Pure vibes, and vibes ended
and
up winning the day.
Yeah, vibes did it.
The vibes were apparently immaculate.
The least. Well, I mean, at least for until then.
Until then.
So fun.
This is fun speaking in vague terms, but knowing that everyone who has experienced it knows what I'm talking about.
I guess we're running way longer than we ever expected, which I guess I kind of expected having you three on this show.
Honestly, expecting otherwise is on you.
Really?
Yeah. I guess we'll do one more question. If you could go back and change anything about the show, canon events, production, anything at all, what would it be?
Saith's second arc.
Oh, the circus?
Yes, I feel like I did not do enough for it. I feel like there was so much potential with that. And this was kind of born of like me like being in like my experimental phase, where like I was just trying to like really figure out what it was that I liked to do, and so I had these ideas that I wanted to try and stick with as like thinking that this would work, but it ended up like being more like railroady than I meant for it to end up being. And like just looking back on it, I realized there's so much more I could have done with that concept, and it's no questions from like every other arc. I may have like some nitpicks here and there on how it went, but that one, if I could, I just redo the whole thing. Except for one particular canon event that I don't regret ever. Xtina.
I said that certain things would be okay, and that it wouldn't be the worst problem. But in a same vein, I would have preferred if it hadn't taken as much away from Saith in that second arc. And I think that's the one thing I would have changed, is trying to approach that more given certain circumstances in a way that made Saith even more of the character shining. Knowing what I know as a player now and being a more experienced player, just really pushing Saith into the spotlight, given everything else that was going on at the time.
Honestly, I know it's gonna be kind of like I don't want to like piggyback off of like the idea of like negativity would have changed it, but I think that arc could have been really cool if we had like a conversation beforehand and been like, hey, like we want like I'm thinking about like character death going on with like these Nightwalkers. I think it would have been very poetic if like during Saith's arc, Saith, while trying to like keep her new friend safe, died, and like it was all just us like trying to get Saith back. Like, that would have been, like, pretty neat.
Yeah, much to Drew's earlier point, the surprise is never worth it compared to talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We learn so you don't have to.
And we're here to share your experiences so other people can learn from them.
Sorry if you were hoping for 3 unique answers. Apparently, we all recognize what was the weak link in the chain that was campaign 1.
You know what? That's okay. If you, I think it shows that you guys have a clear you guys have like a unified goal in what you want to like do with your show, and I think that's good. You guys want to tell the people, give us a plug, tell us where we can find you.
This whole episode not a plug?
I mean, the business end of the plug. God, that's
the business end of the plug.
Take that out. Take that out.
What are you talking about? You know, the business end of the plug. You know, the part that like
I tend to operate off the pleasure end of the
easier
plug,
to kind of
but
ease it on in. Make sure you use proper lubricants.
What have I done?
Put it in dry. You get stuck in there.
Where can people find you? Please, where can they find you? Let's just move on.
You can find us on any podcatcher of choice. We under Agents of Damned. You can find us on our social medias all throughout on either AOD, Agents of D, or Agents of Damned. My personal tag is Pokechap. Christina's is Greekachu, and Drew's is Liger Cero, Liger CER and the number 0. And you can also find us on our website, agentsofdamned.com, where we got transcripts, cast bios, and a link to our merch store. You can buy some of our cool merch.
But honestly, with the state of internet, just
bought
find us in our Discord. There's a link in our link tree, which is also Agents of Damned. So just come check us out there and have conversations with us. We are a fun group, and we like to chat with people, especially if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, they have a lovely Discord. I've been live chatting my experience listening through Campaign 1 to them and the community, and it's been
very fun trying to guess where you are, because all of your reactions are zero context.
I try not to give context. Sometimes I'll go like, I'm on this episode, and
when have you ever?
Sometimes it happens. It's usually a
I
DM.
read those, and it's always like, oh, here we go.
See,
it's literally me just like
constantly question
typing what I might be saying.
Right, like constantly being like, "Hey Hoshi, what the fuck is every other message?"
Hey Hoshi,
it's like you need to be way more specific, dog.
Yeah.
And then when I went through Campaign 2, hey Drew, what the fuck?
Hey.
And you're gonna need to be way more specific, dog.
I think he knows. I think I know exactly what he's talking about. And the thing with that episode is that, I don't know, I wanted to do some emotional damage.
I made this to hurt
I chose
people.
violence one day, and that's what the episode was.
Because he's our friend,
but yes,
he says.
I'm hurting you because I love you.
Yes, please. Please check out Agents of Damned, wherever you get your podcasts. Go check out their Discord. I'm there. Come hang out. Listen to me cry about the finale, probably.
I can't wait.
I'm getting there. And that's going to do it for this episode of College of Whispers. This is our first monthly episode, so I'm glad we got a very long one to hold people over for a month.
Hooray.
Next episode... also, I should say, normally we do roll a D100 to determine the next episode. But
I have dice.
We've gotten actually. I do too. Let me show you. I got this like.
You have the orb.
I have the orb.
The orb.
But we are putting the table away for a little bit because we have gotten a lot of interest in the show from people who want to come on and talk to us. So our next episode, we will be talking with Ross from Roll For You, the Arcane Train. And that will be on December 27th. So keep a lookout for that. Thank you all for listening to College of Whispers. May your backlog grow ever shorter.
We're sticking with that.
We are sticking with it. It's in the marketing.
It's in the marketing now, yeah. We've got to do it.
Thanks for listening to College of Whispers. Our intro and outro song is Everything by Winter Wayfarer. Check them out on all major streaming platforms. You can find College of Whispers on social media at all the relevant places listed in the show notes. College of Whispers is a Bard Rock Network production. Learn more about the network in the show notes and on social media. Thank you so much for listening to this Bard Rock Network production. Don't forget, you can support us by checking out Bard Rock Network sponsor, Dragon Master Games. Support a local game store, get yourself some TTRPG essentials, and help the network produce more excellent content. It really makes a difference. Our show and all the other shows on Bard Rock Network wouldn't be possible without the support of people like you on our Patreon and Ko-fi. That's why we like to thank supporters who pledge above a certain tier at the end of network productions. This month's top supporters are Sarah, Queen, Viralore, and Paul. Thank you all so much for supporting the network.
If you want to get shoutouts and other rewards, pledge on our Patreon or Ko-fi today. Links in the show notes.